Hi, this is Richard Chamberlain, and I'm one of the attorneys with the Legacy Law Group in Perrysburg, Ohio. Welcome back to the Protecting Your Family's Future podcast. This is episode number 49, and today we're going to be wrapping up our initial walkthrough on the way a probate estate works in Ohio. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about filing the fiduciary's account. Now, this is generally the last paperwork that gets filed in an account. The purpose is to let the court and all of the people who are interested in the estate know what happened with the assets in the estate. So if you think back or you remember back, or if you haven't listened to the episode on the inventory, I recommend you go back and listen to that one. But in the inventory, which is near the middle of the estate process, the fiduciary lets the court and the beneficiaries know what all of the assets are that are subject to the probate with their description and their values. The purpose of the fiduciary's account, as I said, is to let everyone know what happened with those assets. So it's broken down into two pieces. There's the asset description and then the disbursements description, because this is when all of the assets are going to ultimately be dispersed or distributed to the people who are entitled to them. In the asset section, we have kind of a summary of all of the assets that are part of the estate. So you need to compare that to the assets that are listed in the inventory. Some of the assets will be sold. And so in the fiduciary's account, you'll have a description of the assets that were sold and the net proceeds of sale. For example, if you sell real estate that's worth $100,000, on the inventory, it'll have the $100,000 value. On the account, the estate most likely would not bring in $100,000 for that because there would be perhaps realtor fees, closing costs, things of that nature. So you show the net value or the net proceeds of the sale of that real estate. Some of the assets will be distributed to beneficiaries directly. So on the asset section of the fiduciary's account, it will show the property that was not sold. So we show the actual value of things that are in the estate prior to the disbursements. In the disbursement section, we then look at what happened with all of the assets of the estate. So it's broken down in two different pieces. You have the costs and administrative expenses. So what was paid for court costs? What was paid for attorney fees? What was paid for the expenses of maintaining the estate property or cleaning up the estate property? And with all of these expenses, the fiduciary has to provide receipts for all of those things. In last week's episode, we talked about dealing with the estate checking account and how important it is to maintain records of everything that's happening with that account. We do that because when we file the fiduciary's account, we have to provide the court with documentation verifying all of these disbursements, all of these expenses and payments that are made out of that account. So those are shown in the fiduciary's account. We then show property that has been distributed in kind to a beneficiary. So that would be, if the real estate in the estate was transferred, not sold, but transferred to someone, then that would show on the account. And then finally, we show the disbursements to the beneficiaries, and that would be the cash disbursements, all the checks essentially that were written to all the beneficiaries. And we have to show copies of those checks, showing that all of those things were done. The whole purpose of the fiduciary's account is to let the court know what happened with the assets so that the court knows that what the fiduciary did was what the law required, what the will required, what needed to happen with the estate assets. All of that information is also provided to all of the heirs or beneficiaries of the estate so that they know what happened. Ultimately, the court will receive that, file that, and will schedule a hearing on the account. If anybody has any objections to the account or what the fiduciary did with the estate assets, they have an opportunity to object, to call into question what was done, to ask for additional documentation. So it's important that the fiduciary have everything up front, have all their ducks in a row so that everything can go smoothly at that account and there aren't any objections that need to be filed. That wraps up the probate process. And I hope that's been helpful for you. I hope our walk through the probate process from beginning to end kind of gives you an idea about how that process works. If you have any questions about an estate that you're involved in, or if you want to talk about planning your estate so that it doesn't go through that probate process, we're happy to talk to you. If you're in Ohio or Michigan, we can help you do that. Our contact information is in the show notes. And I hope this has all been helpful for you, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks.